Iron Man number 1. No Iron Man 2020, no Tony Stark Iron Man, just Iron Man number 1, as it should be. Our marquee issue of this podcast, written by Chris Cantwell, with art by CAFU, and an excellent Alex Ross cover featuring the Guardsman, the Controller, Blizzard, Titanium Man, the Crimson Dynamo, the Melter, Blacklash, the Mandroids, the Unicorn, and the Mandarin. So, any Iron Man fan, especially someone like myself, if they come out with a poster with this, I am 100% buying it. I don't care how much it's going to cost. We open up to Iron Man beating the out of Terrax while he is transferring funds into other investment opportunities. So we want to talk about multitasking. That's pretty good. He throws him through like a satellite and like throws him into a moon. And basically the next day he tweets about it like, "Oh yeah, Terrax is no more." So kind of chill. The next day, Tony is being interviewed and has to step away from his machines to get back to his roots. So, kind of really throwing it back in Dan Slott's face there. Tony sells his Malibu beach house, buys a new car and a new house in New York. And Janet just kind of comes flying by and it's like, "Yeah, we're not seeing each other anymore." And Tony's like, "All right, see ya." So, thank God that's not there anymore because that was weird and awkward. The next day, Tony throws a party at his new apartment and his new brownstone apartment in New York, where he runs into Patsy Walker of all people. So that's pretty cool to see. We also meet this character called Fuller, who pitches the idea of this like lightning capture capacitor that will power up the suits even more so than his regular capacitors would. Tony kind of dismissed this as he goes down to the basement garage where we are seeing his new suit, and we get a nice throwback splash page to the to issue 126 where it shows the cover of him putting on his armor, and the eye slits are back, baby. I'm so glad to see that. We see a shot of that kind of as Patsy's talking to Tony in the armor, and they take off to go gallivanting through the city. And while on a skyscraper, Tony and Patsy actually talk about a few things, kind of fresh starts and stuff like that. And we see Unicorn of all people inside a library stealing a Bible. So Tony and Patsy go into action. They fight Unicorn. They subdue him. And during this whole time, Unicorn is kind of mumbling about this person called the Other. So we don't know who that is yet. But after stopping the Unicorn, retrieving the Bible, Tony's like randomly struck by lightning, and he's like, "Oh crap, this is weird." And then as we see as that happens, we see Fuller kind of chilling in the window from afar, kind of seeing this whole thing going on. So, um, safe to say, I love this issue. I hate to say this because I know Dan Slott's he has a lot of good stuff that he's written in the past, but um, basically you got to give credit to Cantwell and Cafu for basically coming in here and basically saying, okay, we're gonna wipe the slate clean. We're gonna get rid of all the crap and all the baggage and that came with the last Tony Stark run or Iron Man run, and we're just gonna get back to Iron Man being Iron Man and Tony being Tony. I love the dynamic with him and Patsy. I think she's written pretty well in this book, and it's awesome to see her in her classic Hellcat costume. I mean, I don't think her costume has changed much since her debut, but um, yeah. I mean, I'm sure my co-hosts have more stuff to praise as well, so I'm curious to see what you guys think.
I think I told you before the show, and I was talking to other friends this week. This felt like the first time since like 2008 where Tony Stark was written like comic book Tony Stark, and not someone doing a Robert Downey Jr. kind of light based on the writing of like the quips. Now there were some jokes in here, but I didn't feel like they definitely got in the way of it's like, oh, we have to write Iron Man really really quippy. That didn't happen at all, which I was happy to see for the most part. I like the inclusion of Hellcat. You have to give out the art here. This is like the perfect art team for this book between CAFU and then the coloring by Frank Dermata, which not only does it help it look like that Adi Granov Extremis, which is a very milestone story. I got vibes of that and looking at the art, but also with the colors by Dermata. makes it look like almost like Steve Epting a little bit on his Captain America run with Ed Brubaker. So it's really just a perfect marriage of the art there, which is really really nice to see. The night skylines look great. The armor shines right where it's supposed to. I love the armor. I know it's just like the classic armor with just like some sensor nodes added in a few places, but man, it really looks good. And I think this perfectly makes the case for why that armor can, still be the one we use after so many years of getting used to just that extremist, like New Avengers style armor where it was a little bit more streamlined. No, I like the little bit more of a bulky look we get here. And I like Tony getting back to basics. That's the crux of this run. Cantwell's talked this up, and you hear so many writers that come in and be like, "Oh, we're going to do the back to basics approach." No, this seems like a very fully committed, different spin on that back to basics approach. Of Tony is an inventor. He works with machines. He wants to get back with working machines and not just doing a bunch of other things. And even having the armor back in like a suitcase too, it's very streamlined in that sense of hyping up machinery and how you can improve that. I really like that. The lightning bolt sequence, stealing a Gutenberg Bible, a very interesting premise that we went off with. I'll leave it to you guys to think. I was reading comments here and there. Some people think this is Michael Korvac, so maybe that'd be a hell of a start with Iron Man versus Korvac. Would be very interesting right off the bat. On who this new character is, and we know that Hellcat is sticking around based on solicits, but this is a really, really stellar debut for me.
Yeah, the art is great. I love the suit. The suit up page, which Dan went into, was probably just pornographic for him, and I thought it was really cool. Iron Man being on Twitter as Iron Man annoys me a little bit, but I like how, like Dan Slott or Bendis, like they would have had Iron Man on Twitter, but the replies in the panel would be like, "Oh, you're so awesome." But like, I like how Iron Man on Twitter is just, and the public doesn't like him. Some of the clean slate stuff, this is back to basics. It's a clean slate, but I like how, he could have just not acknowledged any of that. But there's the one page, he devotes a whole page for Janet. And it's like almost kind of funny. And it's a very mature page too, where Janet's like, "Hey, let's not do this." And Tony's like, "Yeah, that sounds good." I like how this book oddly becomes a Fast and Furious comic book for like 6 pages. Midlife Crisis Tony is at least better than the like RDJ inspired, quippy, chosen one, futurist martyr version of Tony that we've had. I mean, before the movie and before Fraction, I mean, like basically going back to, Civil War and thereabouts. He's just been an insufferable ass kind of since then. And then the villain setup here, it is funny how it's exactly the same premise as Iron Man 3, where, the nerdy guy tries to pitch Tony some idea and Tony brushes him off, and then it's like, "I'm gonna get you." I like Hellcat being here. I don't know that they're going this direction. It's a little flirty here, but they're also both flirty characters by nature. But I could ship it. Obviously, she was married to Damon Hellstrom, son of Satan. But I'm blanking on whether she's really had much relationship or even flirting with some of the more, mainstream characters. Because obviously she had, and I believe has returned at certain points, had a stretch on the Avengers. But I can't think if she ever, like, if there was ever any relationship teased during that short period where she was an Avenger. But I think she fits really naturally with Tony. They both come from that kind of like socialite background. And I mean, obviously Tony's origin is slightly different, but they both also are like kind of superheroes because they're just like rich and bored. And they're both that cocky, flirty. They have their like socialite famous thing. So, if obviously Tony's public, I'm not certain the secret identity status, if at all, of Patsy. I don't know that that's a thing. I'm not sure, but you could see drama if they want to go this direction of like paparazzi reporting on Tony and Patsy going on a date or being seen together in public out of costume and things like that. So I think it would be really cool to keep her around for sure. and I would choose her over Janet as far as the pairing for story potential and chemistry.
Anything else to wrap up? I think it all gets a pass from us, and I think we're excited to see what happens down the line.
Yeah, I'm sticking with this. Basically, the same concern that I have with every single mainstream comic is, when does the shoe drop and CAFU does not draw this book or continuous issues. That's my concern, but I'm interested enough in the voice and the plot line so far that I'll probably stick with it regardless, but that's the thing I'll be watching for mostly.